Hi, Justice fans. Today, we've got a lot to talk about. The former National Security Advisor Mike Flynn, Justin Bieber, Sofia Vergara, Venus Williams, Howard Stern. Did I forget anybody else? This is going to be a good one. Stick with us.
You are tuned into Black Hollywood Lives. Justice is served.
Hello, Black Hollywood Live fans. Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of Justice is Served. Thanks for joining me. My name is Chelsea Galicia. I am joined by my co-hosts and fellow attorneys, Domonique Price, who is still making sure that we're up to date and checking breaking news, apparently, and Shaka Smith. How you guys doing?
Good, good. Glad to be back.
All right. I know this is the first time that we've all been together in a while. We are missing Yemi, but at least 3/4 of the pack is here to bring you the latest in legal news that we try to do each and every week. This week we've got a lot of stuff, and I don't even know where to begin. Let's start with a nice, easy one, or at least what I think looks nice and easy. Let's start with Mr. Bieber, shall we? We haven't talked about him in quite a while.
Which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's staying under the radar.
Yeah.
But there was an assault in 2015, this was a while ago, that was caught on video. And now he's being sued for it, and he doesn't want to pay up. What else is there to this story?
I don't know that there's anything else left to it. If you've watched the video, which I suggest everyone go and do, the guy kind of charged at Bieber first. So it seemed to me from the angle of the video that I seen that Justin Bieber was just trying to protect himself, and it was purely self-defense. And I was proud of Bieber for actually, being a little bit aggressive in the situation. He had one good punch, and that's all he had, and then he got his ass whooped. But, it happens.
The guy was like twice the size.
Like maybe even triple. So hopefully this gets thrown out once the judge has the opportunity to actually watch the footage. But it definitely seems like Bieber was just trying to protect himself.
So if the guy goes to the hospital, though, I mean, a big guy could be beat up by a littler guy. It's possible.
No, did you watch the video?
I did, and I saw you. I saw you cheering him on, and like, oh, poor baby.
Well, there can be definitely battery on the part of the little guy towards the big guy.
So
you don't need injury to have.
But this is my issue. A lot of people get into altercations with celebrities, and they egg the situations on just so that they can be litigious and potentially get a settlement out, because they know for PR purposes and just for time purposes that it's easier for these celebrities to give you a lump sum than to fight this in court, even if they know that they weren't wrong. And that pisses me off. Like, come on, guys. You're looking for a quick payday. It's kind of like spraying water on the grocery floor so that you can slip and fall.
Yeah. And apparently that's why this guy took so long to bring this lawsuit, is that he tried to get Bieber to settle and just pay up, and Bieber refused.
Well, but that's a normal part of litigation. You can try and settle things informally before you file anything as a way to try and keep it out of the court system.
And I think people do that, but
given
the length of time, I think this guy continually was just trying and trying.
I think he was really trying to extort him, and he failed, and so now he's taking it to court. And I think Bieber's point from jump was, dude, you were the one that was wrong. I'm not paying you a dime, and hopefully if Bieber's right, he'll, probably pay more in legal fees. But
the guy did allege that Bieber took his sunglasses, and that Bieber only got mad when the guy took a picture of Bieber with his sunglasses that Bieber took, and he said he's got a picture of him. So
is that enough to egg somebody on to warrant? Is that something that he's gonna be able to defend himself by saying that was an attack on me? The guy just took his sunglasses.
Well, remember, if he took your sunglasses from your person,
it's on your face, and somebody goes like this, would you feel assaulted?
You don't.
A stranger.
That's classic assault and battery.
Exactly. But it seemed like it was missing here.
Well, that is technically an assault, right? But Bieber hitting back.
Well, that's not what happened first. So if you slow the video down, you don't see the glasses part, but apparently the glasses were taken off before this starts. And the guy bucks up at Bieber like, you're not going to do anything, and kind of comes at him. And so Bieber clocks him like, yo.
But is that still called self-defense?
I think so.
No, I don't think so.
I think
so. If you're in my personal bubble and I'm saying get away from me, and you charge at me, I'm gonna hit you.
I think if you're in the personal bubble,
you can do that, but I don't think it's called self-defense.
But I think if it's as quick.
But he was I'm saying the other guy was the aggressor.
But was he, once Bieber took the glasses off and Bieber's not giving them back? It seemed to me it could be part of the same action.
I don't disagree.
It's not cool that he was set up, but technically they were both assaulted.
Yes,
but
the question is who has damages.
I feel like they cancel each other out.
Not
Nobody has damages.
Not if Bieber removed the glasses from him first. Which is what he's alleging, that Bieber took the glasses from his
And that's
person.
the part that's not on the video.
Exactly.
So I would like to know who his line
but he's got a picture
witnesses
of.
are.
But he said he's got a picture of Bieber with the glasses. So that.
And I'm like, if you had time to take pictures of Bieber in the glasses, was there really an issue?
Well,
You get what I'm saying? I just feel like there's more to this story that we're not seeing.
Oh, of course.
And
of
it's a
course.
bunch of bull
Yeah.
hockey.
I haven't seen the picture of Bieber with the glasses, so I don't know if it's like,
Friendly,
or if it's a picture of movement, or you know.
we don't know. Because I'm like, if it's a friendly picture of Bieber saying, yo, you have really cool glasses, let me take a picture in them, and he lets you take a picture, and then an altercation ensues.
Yeah.
Was there really an assault to begin with the glasses?
Yeah. Or is
we
it-
don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
More footage.
Yeah.
Okay, this is when questions are answered by video, and then they just invite more questions.
I do.
yeah,
I do
lots
think
more
if he's got this picture of Bieber with the glasses, and it shows anything.
And this guy's claiming he had medical bills.
I don't know how he had any medical bills.
His allegation is that Bieber's other people came in and stepped in and beat him up as
After
well.
he beat up Bieber.
Yeah. So he was.
But then it's like, but then I have a really hard time, and this is just me. I know that this is just the way the world works, but I feel like if I don't tell my bodyguard to go beat you up, you should not be able to sue me for my bodyguard's actions. I've always felt like that. Like
you employ the bodyguard, so as the employer.
well, that's what I'm saying. But
yeah.
I did not tell you to go do that.
Well, a lot of times your employees do things that the employer didn't tell them to
Exactly.
do, but the employer is still liable as a result.
And that's my issue. As a business owner, I have an issue with that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I like the doctrine of respondeat superior. I think it holds employers
I've always had
to
issues with it.
I think it holds employers to accountability. So.
Well, but see, here's the thing. So then, if it was Bieber's employee, bodyguard, who did the damage,
I think it was
then,
friends.
Okay, but in the scenario that you were saying,
Oh,
you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
believe that somebody should. Okay, so if Bieber hired the guy, this security guy was an employee. The employee hurts somebody else while trying to take care of Bieber, the
Yes.
employer, and injures somebody else.
If he goes too far, you're liable for the bad actions of your employee, as long as it's not so far afield from their job that you couldn't even contemplate it. And I don't think beating someone up as a bodyguard is that far.
Right, and my thing is, what was he beaten up or was he thrown off of Bieber? Because the video ends with this guy legit on top of Bieber.
Yeah. Well,
So if he gets hurt in the process of the bodyguards removing him off of Bieber,
Yeah.
is there an issue?
I think that's what they're going to be litigating. But
I need more video.
It depends on the gravity of
Exactly.
And it's possible that they could both be guilty of battery, and we'll see.
And I hope it cancels each other out.
Well,
I don't know how
I
that
won't
happens.
cancel each other out, but they'll both be
Well,
liable.
Right. Okay, let's move on to a totally different kind of story. Let's give you the update on the Sofia Vergara, Nick Loeb, plus their embryos, who Nick has already named Emma and Isabella. The fight over
He's
whether
such
they
a
should be
weirdo.
born. That is my first reaction.
I just think the
cannot-
whole thing is creepy.
It is very.
I think people get emotionally broken at the end of a relationship, and it leads to a complete mental breakdown of what's happening.
Right.
That would make sense. Except he
grasp of
tries
reality
in
is very
interviews. He
loose.
tries to say that this has nothing to do with her and his attachment to her. This has to do with the life of these children that he wants to be born. I don't get it. But be that as it may, she has filed a request for a declaratory judgment that he not be able to ever gain control of these embryos, to basically shut down his ability to ever go forward with a lawsuit like this.
Because he dismissed his own suit, so as a result of dismissing his own suit, he can go ahead and refile.
Apparently, the California suit he dropped because
Yeah.
the judge said he was going to have to reveal the identity of 2 women that terminated pregnancies that he was responsible for.
Yeah.
Let's call it that way. And so he didn't want to do that, so he backed off that one. Then he went to, I can't remember what state it was. We talked about this story last month, where he set up trusts for these kids in a state that has a right to life.
And that's what
On
people do.
purpose.
That's what people do with these cases.
Yeah.
They
So
try to
that-
find a very
So that it would
favorable
force,
forum. Yeah.
basically force these kids to be born because there are these trusts waiting for them.
Yeah.
It boggles my mind also. And so for me, this seems like so open, like shut, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I had a friend say, well, what if this was the other way around? What if this was Sophia who wanted to bring these to life because she no longer could have children? She was done with eggs. And yes, there was a contract that the 2 of them had signed that said that only if both of them agreed to give life to these children would they be born.
You have more sympathy, obviously.
Well, and that's what my thought is.
Yeah.
If it was a dire situation, then I think the bleeding hearts would be like, let her have them.
And that's
we
why
have contracts, and we
and that's why
have
he
to be
named
able.
the embryos too. I think
Right.
on his end he tried to really create sympathy. And remember, if he gets these kids born, that's lifelong.
Well, and that's the
for him.
and that's the thing. It's like, is she?
That's not
Would she be a
cool.
screwed up person if she relinquished rights?
I think I think she would be responsible for child support for those children.
No, she wouldn't.
I don't.
I mean, I would
He is
honestly
saying
tell.
that he doesn't
I would
want money
honestly
from her.
tell him that would be the condition. If you want to bring children into this world that I personally do not want to have with you, if a man could relinquish his parental rights, why can't she?
If you believe that that's the reason he wants to bring these kids in and get no money from Sophia, I believe he wants to have these children so he can get life.
He's going on
Exactly.
and on
That's
saying
the
that,
issue.
that he can take care of them financially.
Oh,
He
that's what
doesn't-
I would say too if I was also setting
Right,
the
because
scheme
I'm
up.
trying not to look like a crazy gold
Yeah.
digger. Male gold diggers bother me all in itself. So that's a whole nother.
So when the story is like the hypothetical situation where the roles are reversed, then people start having more sympathy and don't see like her as crazy. I still think a contract is a contract.
I agree. Yeah.
And I know that sometimes we break contracts and then you have damages and that's how it goes. But when we're talking about the lives of human beings and the idea of being born to a mother that doesn't want you to be born would mess you up psychologically, I would think.
And this is one of those contracts you really want to uphold because you at least want to believe that this is something the parties contemplated. They
Right.
contemplated every line of
why
its
they put
contract.
it in there.
Yeah.
I'm okay with not super okay, but violating contracts that are over,
Yeah, overbroad and that are probably
or
violating.
that are
yeah.
economic in nature.
Yeah.
This isn't economic in nature. Sure, it would have financial consequences, but the crux of this is about human life.
Yeah.
And so if businesses go into contracts together and one violates the contract and has to pay damages, okay, that's fine. I'm okay with sometimes you choose to break a deal and you pay the consequences. But this one, there's no breaking the deal.
Yeah, but I'm not sure she's going to win on this declaratory judgment, though.
I know. I kind of am with you. I think
I'm
that
just ready for them
judges are-
to have a resolve.
Yeah.
I'm sure she is too. She's like, dude, get over me. I'm married to somebody else.
Yeah, stop suing me
You
for
can
these
have other
embryos.
kids.
I'm hoping somehow she gets it, but he would appeal it. I don't think
and
this is
courts
going
are
away.
loath to just take away your right to sue or to engage in the legal process. So I don't.
Yeah, you're probably
Yeah.
right. Poor thing is in this for the long haul.
Yeah.
Poor,
Oh, yeah.
By poor thing, I mean Sofia
Yeah,
Vergara.
and
Yeah,
I don't
Isabella
really.
not
and
him
Emma.
at all.
No. Oh, I think those babies are fine where they are in
In
their.
the petri dish.
Oh my God. I wouldn't have said that, but okay. Okay. Can we talk about food for a second?
Yeah, of course.
I'm
I'm
already,
always hungry.
I'm already
hungry.
ready. It would be so great if I had thought about this earlier to order Blue Apron, have it waiting at my door. I get home, I chop up those ingredients, and make something. Have you guys tried
And
this?
then maybe bring it into the studio. That'd be great.
Oh, cook for us.
Yeah.
One of the girls does that.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. I've seen it.
Yeah. But I tried this,
Yeah.
and I was
You tried
really
what?
Blue Apron.
Okay.
So I got my delivery with you guys. At the end, I'm going to tell you how to get 3 free meals, and so that's what I did. And they were super freaking delicious. Even though every step of the way, I'm like, I'm probably messing this up. I'm probably messing this up. Oh God, this is not going to turn out
It's
well.
super easy.
But it's kind of foolproof because if I
Yeah.
can do it, I'm pretty sure anybody with much less experience. I was going to say half a brain, but that doesn't sound very nice. And I was really happy that all the ingredients are really nice and fresh. Nothing looks stale. I don't know how they
And they're
can
nicely
keep up the standards.
labeled.
Oh
I
God,
don't
I,
know how
need that.
they do it.
They had some things like on the ingredient list. It was like, what's the thing that looks like an onion? A shallot. And I was like, thank God that they provided everything that I need to make this because otherwise I'd have to go to the grocery store and
look.
Google shallot
Right,
to
I
know what
would've
that
done
was.
that.
But they include everything in the container, and so it's really easy and it's really fun. I had a friend come over and we did it, and I thought it was going to be okay, let's just get through this and hang out for the real reason that we had wanted to hang out. But that actually became the center of it, and it was so much fun.
Nice.
I guess this is becoming a way that families are coming together.
Yeah.
I
And
think
it's
that's kind of cool.
inexpensive, too. It's a very affordable.
Yeah, well, I hear both sides. People are like, it is and it is. I think it it is for me. If you're used to going to like restaurants and
Yeah.
high-end grocery stores, and that's your thing. I don't if
I
fast
think
food
you have
is
to
your
look
thing.
at the
it's-
fact that they're using very premium like ingredients.
And it's like, what, $10 a meal, essentially?
Basically, that's what it
Yeah.
breaks down per person.
Per person,
Yeah.
Yeah, and so each meal is like, or at least the package that I got was for 2 people,
Okay, yeah.
and it was
Leftovers.
so good. Yeah,
2 meals in
Yeah.
one.
and with fresh ingredients. So I would think if you were trying to lose weight, I don't know, I'm not, but it would be a really easy way to do that. And I really like that the standard of the meat is really high quality
Yes.
because I only eat meat. I'm trying to reduce
What
my
the-
meat consumption. Eventually, I may have to start getting
Go
there
vegan.
vegetarian.
I'm trying so hard, but
Well, I
I
know
love
they-
But for
bacon.
now, at least, I appreciate that the meat, the fish, it's all high quality. They work with all these local growers to get fresh produce, and so it feels good to do business with them.
And this is the part I normally have to like close my ears for. But what's on the menu this week?
Ah, that's a good one. Okay, cashew chicken stir fry with tango mandarins and jasmine rice. Pretty fancy. I got some of these and I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be the worst thing ever. Roasted pork with apple, walnut, and farro.
That sounds
sauce.
way too fancy.
Wow.
Crispy barramundi. Oh my God, this is so sophisticated. I can't even say it. With quinoa. I love quinoa.
I love
that.
quinoa.
Quinoa's good.
Roasted carrot salad, udon noodle soup with miso and
Now
soft-boiled
that
eggs.
sounds
yeah.
amazing.
I was reading that they don't repeat recipes for like a year.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm like, are there that many? Like, if there's that many recipes,
Yeah, that's
you wouldn't
amazing,
eat the
though.
same
Yeah.
thing. That I love that.
You're going to be like a
Although
chef by the time
was
you're done.
addicted.
You're
The
gonna be
3
like a
things that I
culinary
made,
artist.
I really like them. I hope that it's
well, now you
a
have the
possibility
recipe.
to go
You
back.
could definitely probably go to the store and get the stuff
No,
yourself.
but it is so nice.
You know what a
I-
shallot looks like now.
Right? And it's teaching
It
you
is
along the
so
way.
nice to have it all delivered in the right amount because
Yeah.
there are a lot of times I go to the grocery store, I buy stuff, and half of it goes bad
Yeah.
because it's
didn't need all
me
of
and
it.
a
Right.
roommate, and so we don't always use things. But this way, I feel like I'm less wasteful
Yeah.
because it comes in the perfect size. So. If that intrigues you and you want to try it, go check out the menu and get your first 3 meals free, including free shipping. How's that for fancy? So go to blueapron.com/justice. Give us credit. That way we keep bringing the show for free. Oh, yeah. So you're going to love how good it feels and taste to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron. So don't wait. Again, it's blueapron.com/justice. And Blue Apron, a better way to cook. Thank you so much, Blue Apron, for your support of this show. And now we turn to the funkiest of stories, Howard Stern getting sued.
Yeah.
Of all the ways that Howard Stern could get sued, because he has upset a lot of people over the years, but this kind of lawsuit I never saw coming.
Yeah, this was pretty egregious.
It's such a weird story. I mean, he didn't even plan this.
Give them a little background.
Okay, here we go. So imagine you're just a normal citizen. In this case, her name was Judith Berrigus.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, she calls the IRS to deal with a tax issue. The IRS agent that she is connected with is named Jimmy Forsyth. And Jimmy Forsyth decides to call the Howard Stern
Happens
stuff.
to be on the show, yeah.
He calls and somehow, and this is the part that I didn't understand, Jimmy, the IRS agent, goes to have his conversation with Judith Berrigus about her tax situation, and they're talking for 45 minutes. The Stern Show is able to listen in, and they decide to air it.
Yeah,
They,
that's just
like-
like
So
all of
this
her
woman,
personal information.
Yes. So this woman starts getting inundated with text messages from totally random strangers telling her that her personal information has gone out over the air, which turned out to be to like 1 million people. And people had her personal information. And when you're talking about your taxes,
That's like the most personal
Right,
information, right?
yeah. So she is suing the government under the Federal Tort Claims Act and for unlawful disclosure of her tax return. Yeah, you know what? I probably should have looked to see what that Tort Claims Act is, but this seems like something that there would be a law to prohibit.
Well, of course, it's sort of like a federal invasion of privacy.
Yeah. And she's also asserting negligence and invasion of her privacy against Stern and his show.
That's the part that I think is a little tricky.
So the government part,
It's totally
Yeah.
justifiable.
Okay.
I
We all
pray
agree
that
on
she
that one.
wins. I hope she gets a big settlement. I hope this guy gets fired.
well, he was suspended for, I don't know
Yeah.
if he ultimately
But
got
I
fired.
Should be
yeah,
fired.
absolutely.
Not suspended. But as far as the show goes, I don't know that they were technically negligent on their part, because now I've never called into his show, but most radio shows, when you call in, there's someone who picks up the line, or it's automated, and they let you know that the call will be recorded, that may or may not appear on air before they even start recording. So
But the Stern Show still knew that she had not given consent.
well, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, depending on what state they live in, they may not have needed her permission,
or-
her consent to record, because in most states you only need one party's consent to record a phone call.
But
Recording
he-
is
but-
different
but-
from airing.
and
Well,
remember-
and that's the thing. It's like
Yeah.
that's a very like extra niche to it.
And the
you
guy at the
know?
IRS, he wasn't recording.
Well, and that's where it gets
yeah.
very tricky, you know, because like he gave permission to do something that
To record
technically
himself and not a third party. So I think it's going to be.
gets really interesting.
I think it's going to be open and shut, and they're going to.
That she wins.
Yeah, they're gonna
Oh,
settle-
she's winning
they're
for
gonna-
sure.
They're going to settle this.
Yeah,
There's no way.
yeah.
She claims that it gave her anxiety, made it difficult for her to find employment. That one, I would have
I
to
think
hear the
that's a
details
stretch.
of.
Yeah, I'd have to know the details of that because I don't know exactly what was
I mean, because if she really
disclosed.
did lose out on job opportunities because of this, I don't know how, but
Yeah, I don't
if she really did, then that would be fair damages.
Mm-hmm.
Anxiety, loss of sleep, and
And
irregular eating patterns.
Well,
When
that-
people throw in irregular eating patterns,
always
they
just
lose me.
like-
Well, we always know it's called intentional infliction of emotional distress or negligent infliction, and to have that claim pass through you, there needs to be some sort of physical ailment that you got so embarrassed or that emotional distress created some physicality in you. So that she has to claim that. But I would think something like this might cause you to have irregular eating patterns, might cause you to lose some
For
sleep.
a day or so.
Yeah, but that's enough.
But that's enough.
And if that was your big interview that you were going to have that day, you just
You
missed
may
out on
have
the job.
bombed it.
And so she must have. I would have been a wreck knowing I disclosed all my financial information. I'm receiving text messages about it now too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because then you're more liable to get have your identity stolen,
Yeah.
and you got to worry about that, and you got to
And
get your.
yeah. So if she had bad credit or something,
Right.
and maybe an employer considered that, and she lost out on some job, and she works at a bank or something.
Right.
You know, any
Then
number
she'd
of
have
things.
to prove that they heard
So
it.
this is one of
Yeah.
those things that I can see most people look at, and they're like, "Oh, this is BS." But then when you look at it a little closer,
Yeah.
she becomes a much more sympathetic person.
Oh,
Yeah,
for
of course.
sure.
Information disclosing to like a priest or a doctor or the
Right.
IRS man should
The IRS
the tax man. It should be kept very between you and that person.
Oh, yeah, it's a sacred relationship.
Yeah, it really is.
Okay, we wish Judith Baragas the best of luck. But I don't know, do you think Howard Stern himself approved this? Do you think he had to
I'm
have
certain.
known
Yeah, I'm certain.
before they did it, or they
I
just?
don't know.
I think Howard Stern probably.
I mean, he's
think
definitely
he,
I
responsible
mean, I'm
because
think
it's
sure he
his
probably
show.
heard
I
it.
think he runs
but
that show.
I think he has a producer.
Yeah, but I think he still like runs it. He goes with whatever he wants to go with.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm just talking about vetting to make sure that it was okay to air. I'm pretty sure he had nothing to do with it.
But he could have said, "This seems wrong. We're not
I
airing
doubt
this."
it. I doubt
Yeah,
it.
45 minutes.
Yeah.
That's a
Now, that's a
long
long
time.
That's what I'm
time
saying. He
to-
could have said, "This is."
I can't believe he didn't have anything else to talk about for 45 minutes.
This news may have been slow that day.
I guess.
But or maybe it was probably juicy information, so he just let it continue on.
Well, and it may have been interesting. I know for me, just because I'm a dork and I love taxes, like I would have loved to have heard like how they counsel, what exactly, how the conversation
have
went.
a
Like
feeling-
I would have wanted to listen to it. I may see if it's still on there to go.
But
look.
I feel like he.
no, I
feel
hope
like,
they pulled it off.
I want to
Yeah,
listen.
I feel like this thrives on like salaciousness. So
Oh,
I think it probably was a phone call that was interesting to the viewers. It probably was some damaging information.
Yeah. All right, we wish her luck. Okay, and now because
This guy,
I'm a
can I just say for a moment how like stupid this IRS employee had to be? Did you know that you just no longer wanted your job and you may never?
wait, I don't know
I
if
don't know
he
that he
knew.
knew. Yeah, I don't think he knew the Stern Show was picking it up. He didn't know.
Yeah,
But
I
he,
wondered
he
about that.
called them though.
he was. It was like, oh, hold.
But
He
from, like,
calls
a
the show-
different
another
phone line.
Yeah. So I think that's where his negligence comes into play.
Okay, so I misunderstood when I read this. I thought that he purposefully called them to record the phone call.
No, my understanding is he called the show on like separate issue, and they could overhear the other phone call he was having, and they decided to listen and broadcast that other phone call.
So now we have sympathy for
He's
the
still
IRS
stupid.
agent.
I do not.
No,
I do
the
not.
negligence.
But
he
that's
needs to
just
be,
like when
it's
you're
incompetence.
getting
I mean,
ready to say
scrolling
something
Facebook
shady,
and calling
you
the
make sure
Howard
your
Stern
phone's
show are
off.
things you don't
That's
do at work.
natural.
Well, yeah.
Right?
You would just think he wouldn't be listening to your IRS phone call, but you know.
Alrighty. Okay, moving on from these guys. Okay, the political junkie in me was all wrapped up in this Mike Flynn resignation thing a few
wow.
years ago. It feels like years ago, days
Jeez.
ago.
It's been 4 weeks, right? It's only-
That he's been president.
yeah, it's only about 4
Is it
weeks.
only been less than?
Yeah.
Right? It's the 15th today, and that
Yeah.
happened on the 20th.
Yeah. Feels like
Three
we've
and a half
lived
weeks in.
the
So
lifetime.
much has happened. And among them, the national security advisor, one of the guys who was like really gung-ho on
Lock her up.
Yep. Yeah. He turns out that he, we don't know the contents, had an inappropriate conversation with the Russian ambassador and lied about it to the vice president.
And that Trump may have known, what is it, a full 15 or 18 days before he disclosed the
18
Pence?
days.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So for all the political
But Trump is
implications.
more concerned about where the leak came from.
Oh,
Yes. Okay,
yeah.
hold on. I'm going to have to put a time out to this because we're going to get way
But
lost in the
we gotta
details
do
of
it
this.
with the
But what I was going to say is, I was going to use this opportunity, of course, for a shameless plug for AfterBuzz TV's
Yes.
The Trump Report that I'm on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. So for all the political fallout, tune over to that show, although we covered it this week, so we may not talk about it next week. But anyways, legally speaking,
Yeah.
the question is, did Mike Flynn break the law?
Yeah.
Any ideas?
Well, I think certainly. So they want to prosecute him under this Logan Act that prevents private citizens from influencing foreign governments on the behalf of our government. And so certainly by the Logan Act, he's a private citizen. He didn't have the authority to negotiate on the government's behalf at the time.
Yeah.
He called a
Because
foreign
this was
government.
during the Obama administration that he
Exactly.
had this conversation. Yeah.
He called a foreign government. So the question is whether or not he was attempting to influence the actions of that foreign government. But we have some evidence, right? So
Right.
Lots.
Likely
So-
he was saying, "Don't worry about these sanctions, guys. We'll
Yeah.
take care of it in a couple months."
Well, we know. So on the same day Obama announces sanctions, same day Vladimir Putin says they are going to retaliate with their sanctions. Michael Flynn, same day, phone call. Same day Vladimir Putin decides no sanctions, and I believe it was the
I
following
wanted to
day.
know how he got his phone number.
And I believe it was the following day that
The
Trump
ambassador.
tweets, and
Oh,
Trump
yeah.
tweets says, "Great decision by Vladimir Putin, smart man." I knew he was always a smart man.
Yeah.
So the timeline is
Sketch.
not even sketchy; it's almost like clear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So he being Flynn is guilty of violating the Logan Act if he had communications
Attempted
with the
to
intent to influence,
Right.
while being a citizen that didn't have really permission to engage in this kind of discussion. And so if you just look at these three requirements, it seems pretty.
He meets every element dispositively, but the next question is, was he trying to influence? And that's the last
And
element.
also the fact that this is a really old law. Like this was signed into law. I think it was like John Adams.
Yeah.
This is like 200 years ago,
Yeah.
and nobody has been prosecuted. Nobody,
Well,
or at least in a long
in
time.
a very long time, yeah.
So
Maybe that's
even
part of
though
the
he
problem.
meets the requirements in all likelihood, the reality of them actually using this law to
Well-
prosecute him, I think, is pretty low.
Well, I think it came from one of these guys who's in the Congress. Logan tried to negotiate something at the time
Yes.
with another foreign government, I think France. And so the practicality of this is still today
relevant.
very
It's-
relevant
yeah.
today.
Yeah.
So you would not want a private citizen negotiating on the United States' behalf to influence a foreign government. So I don't think that the fact it's an old law will help, because it's still very relevant today.
What will help is that we have a Republican majority, and that's probably why this won't go anywhere. But there is another law. Federal law prohibits someone from making a false statement when discussing a matter within the jurisdiction of the federal government. So that's another
And-
one that he made a false statement to Mike Pence
He
by
did.
leaving out certain important
Well,
details
he
of
said
that
they didn't
conversation.
discuss sanctions. He said we didn't discuss sanctions, and Pence was a government official, as vice president, and the fact that now he's saying he doesn't remember if he discussed sanctions.
Oh,
remember, this
please.
is the guy.
Please. This was the guy who said, if I did 1/10 of what Hillary did,
Yeah.
I would be in jail.
And this conversation was a few months ago.
Well,
this is not.
for that principle only, I feel like he should be in jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I actually do think this one might have some legs, because we have transcripts.
Yes.
So maybe what Flynn did not know is that when we have conversations with foreign entities, that we
know
listen.
what these conversations are. Apparently, Flynn doesn't know that ambassadors are like permanently wiretapped by the FBI. That's how the intelligence community knew about this.
So we have transcripts. They haven't all been released to the public. So I do think
Which
Flynn
is
is going
interesting
to
to
be
me
in
because
some
I'm
trouble.
like, then that means that the FBI knew like a while
They
ago.
did know.
Yeah.
That's why they've been saying there's been Russian meddling, and that's how Trump knew about it 18 days before he asked for Flynn's resignation.
I personally think he knew way before then, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's going to not tell you
I'm
that he
telling you
discussed
that.
sanctions.
Come on,
and he got,
WikiLeaks.
yeah, he's not going to call you and
Where
say,
are
hey,
you when we need
we
you?
won. We got
Right.
the sanctions. He's not going to, retaliate.
So this one is I feel like kind of a bummer because justice would be served by him being prosecuted under both of these laws that we've
Yes.
discussed.
Yeah.
Yet politically, the climate may not be there
I think
to
it's going to happen.
prosecute him.
I think he'll be
would.
prosecuted.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh, I like where your
And
head's
Sally
at.
Yates, good old Sally, she told him, she said, I think this guy could be susceptible to blackmail as a result of what he
You
did.
think the Department of Justice, you
And
think
they-
Jeff Sessions is going to go after Mike Flynn? Come on.
I think this might be a case where they're going to have to to save credibility.
oh yeah, if not, it's gonna be.
Save credibility.
Yeah.
Credibility.
Then you
I
just
think
saw
build.
Pudger have
The word
you
should
just saw
be
the
build
labor secretary.
credibility.
The labor secretary had to resign because it looked like he lost support, and that's the first cabinet member they're going to be able to get rid of. So I think they're having a credibility problem. I think Flynn will end up being where they try to resurrect their credibility again.
Maybe. Oh, yeah.
They need some goodwill.
I wish there was like a legal angle to cover the Andrew Pudzer
Yeah.
withdrawing his nomination for labor
Yeah, I didn't see
secretary.
anything there.
But I couldn't do it, so I can't squeeze
But
it
I
into
do
the
think
show.
we
But
might
we
have-
could do it anyway if we
Yeah.
wanted to. But
I do
this-
think we'll have a legal debate next week about whether or not
you know
we're
what?
looking at Trump impeachment.
But you know, anywhere where I can talk about Oprah, I will use that opportunity. Did you guys know about the Oprah connection to this withdrawal?
No, but I'll definitely have to
Okay.
Google it so we can get to our other story.
All right, let me do it really fast. So, back in the day, Pudzer's now ex-wife, I believe, went on Oprah incognito to talk about her being the victim of domestic abuse.
Wow.
And she later
Yes.
recanted the story,
Yeah.
but the Senate asked for the video, and Oprah turned it over to them.
That is, and
That's probably
just more theater from this administration,
so
right?
that's where a lot of some of his support or lack thereof
Yeah.
came from, and then for other people it was because he had hired an undocumented worker and only paid taxes on it like recently to try and get through this nomination process. So thanks for letting me squeeze in some politics that has nothing to do with justice, but that's, what I love to do. Okay. And finally, this story we could probably talk about for days. This Venus Williams, who's not being sued, but a sports commentator was calling a match, and got fired for a comment.
Yeah, so I guess because they felt that he was racist and he used the word gorilla to refer to Venus, but he says he was using the word Guerilla, referring to guerrilla-like tactics that someone might
Right.
take. But we do have the video, so we should listen to the audio.
Yeah, so let's roll that.
She misses a first serve and Venus is all over her. And you'll see Venus move in and put the gorilla effect on.
And that was it.
Charging.
Okay, so
Wow.
initial reactions.
I've already told you guys before we started filming today my take on it, and I'll tell you guys again.
Thank you, because the audience is like, I didn't get to do
I
that.
personally just feel like when it comes to people speaking on African Americans, I think the word itself, gorilla and monkey, should never be used when speaking of someone of color.
But if you were
Personally.
talking about gorilla,
But
it wasn't that
that's
word.
That's just my point. I think it's a very slippery slope. I think quickly, if I was in the kitchen doing something and I had that on and I heard it, I would have had the same impression that a lot of the ESPN viewers had.
I think if he had said guerrilla warfare tactic, we wouldn't have blinked an eye.
Right, but it was the way he said it that
And then
implies something else.
The way he said it seemed so like not charged, it didn't seem like it was intended
think
as like
if you
an
actually-
insult.
if you
Like,
actually
it was
look
not
at
the
the
same as like
history-
Don Imus,
No.
that nappy-headed hoe comment. That
yeah.
one had like charge behind it.
Yeah.
This did not have that at all.
I don't think it didn't sound obviously mean-spirited, but certainly you don't want to perpetuate those stereotypes and refer to her as a gorilla on the screen. And he did say charging afterwards. So
Okay, but also
it's a hard
it's a
question as
little
to what he meant.
complicated by the fact that that term is used in tennis.
Well, so he refers back to like a 1990s what is it, Guerrilla
Nike
Tactics
commercial.
Nike commercial.
Yeah.
I'm an avid watcher of tennis. I've
I've never
heard it used.
heard that
Yeah.
used at all. And I
Yeah.
think the reason why I think I'm a little bit more sensitive to it is because when you look at the history of African Americans playing sports, the terms guerrilla tactics and being aggressive have been associated as to why African Americans are better at sports. And so for me, I felt like listening to that, I didn't feel like it was a positive comment with a negative undertone is how I took it.
Okay, do you think that it was fair for him to lose his job over it? Because he was forced to apologize by ESPN and then terminated. So what was the appropriate punishment?
I think the apology, and I think maybe a long suspension.
It would have sufficed. I think losing his job was a
just
little
because
much.
we have some doubt.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
The doubt, and the way he said it, it didn't sound mean-spirited. So it is possible he meant guerrilla tactics.
Yeah.
So I would.
He tried to explain himself, and now he's suing for wrongful termination. And
I think-
although I think it was probably not the best choice of words, for some reason it doesn't seem to me.
I think
that he will lose.
Really
I think he'll win.
I disagree. I've
win.
seen cases before where if a network or a company can show that there was public outcry and they pushed for him to, it's not going to be wrongful
But no,
termination
this is wrongful
because
termination
he has
based
a
on
clause
some,
in their contract.
they based it on some sort of morality
Yeah,
type clause.
and it's
so
very vague.
if it turns out that it wasn't an amoral statement, I think he'll win. And I think there's not going to be enough evidence that we could all say, oh, this was an amoral statement. So
I think it'll be interesting to keep a watchful eye on it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think I would have to humbly disagree.
All right, so we
disagree.
got two on the side of the guy. What is his name? Doug Adler. And
So you think he'll win?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think he'll. I mean, can you imagine? So he not only lost his job, but how difficult is it for him to get a new one?
Yeah. And so only if that apology includes
I don't
some.
think that fits. I don't think that punishment fits the crime.
And I know
I mean, if
during-
Mike Vick can play football again, I'm sure he'll get
Oh
another
my
job
gosh,
again.
that is
well,
crazy to draw
yeah.
the comparison.
I think
You
Mike.
think dog fighting is the same as that comment?
No, she's saying it's worse than if
I'm-
Mike Vick could be reemployed, and this
Right,
guy
I'm
can get
saying
reemployed.
if he could be
But-
reemployed,
but-
give it a little moment, let it
Mike-
die down, and he will get another job.
Except Mike Vick put money in like pockets of like owners in the NFL, so there's bigger
That's a
incentive to
whole other
reemploy that guy.
conversation.
But I
To
think,
be fired from ESPN and sort of labeled as a racist,
I
that
think he's
is
gonna have a
just-
tough time finding a job anywhere. So,
So that's why I think that the wrongful termination case is
now,
going to
as
go well
long
for
as he
him.
didn't in the apology own the fact that he did mean gorilla, but I don't think he ever did.
And he's come out with videos trying to explain himself
Yeah.
that he didn't.
I think
so.
he'll have a high likelihood of winning.
All right, and I think that is the end for us.
Wow.
Although you know what, we have like 2 minutes left. You wanted to talk about, and I didn't initially see the connection, the Nick Cannon morality clause in
Oh
his
yeah,
NBC
we were just
contract.
talking
Oh,
about
that's-
morality clauses and contracts, and we were talking briefly about Nick Cannon deciding to, step down from America's Got Talent.
Whether or not he can even do that.
Right, and the issue more so came because he made a statement in a comedy special
Yeah.
that he did. They found it to diminish their brand.
NBC did.
Yes, and so they basically were telling him, we need you to slow off on these type of comments, and he was like, I don't want to feel like you're trying to limit my speech.
Yeah.
And he said, if that's what it's going to be, I'd rather walk away from this situation.
But there was no like formal talk. He just announced it on Facebook.
No, there actually
Twitter.
was formal talk. They have been in discussion about him.
But not him leaving the show, because apparently
it
he
wasn't
might,
him leaving the
yeah.
show. They were basically saying, shut up.
Yeah, but now he left the show without
But if
telling
somebody
them
told
at
you
all.
to shut up, would you want to stay?
I would be like, well, let me look at my contract to see if I can leave.
Well,
which he didn't
right.
do.
Yeah.
So he's announced he's leaving the show. I don't know if he actually will or what's going on, because I don't think.
I think
for
they'll
his
have a hard
contract-
time replacing him,
Yeah.
and I think they're now going to have to sit back and say, "Hey, we may have been wrong on how we approached him."
Or
in
they
the
might try to
situation."
sue him for trying to leave the show.
And I say go
contractually.
for it.
Yeah.
If he has a contract that
Yeah.
obligates him to a certain period of time.
Yeah, which he does.
But I think it's frustrating for someone to loom over your head like, hey, if you don't stop talking about XYZ, we're going to fire you.
I think if you're a
and me
public-
saying, hey, I want to continue
But
to
you're-
push this
He
envelope.
makes his money sort of based on his
Public persona, and that-
public persona
Yeah.
rather than persona.
And they give him that. They give him that platform.
But do you guys know what he was saying?
Well, he mentioned-
was legit just saying like, hey, being on a network television show,
He shouldn't have mentioned her name.
I can't speak my truth the way I would want to.
But that's not what he said.
Well, he
the way
said
you
it in very loose terms.
Yeah, you said it beautifully.
I'm
That was beautiful.
Make
You
it
said-
PG here.
Yeah, so I think that was the problem. So
Right.
the way, I mean, we'll have to cover that
And
next week.
it was a
Yeah.
comedian sketch.
Yeah. Okay. We're
Next
getting
week we'll
yelled
play
at.
it.
I mean,
Yeah.
yelled at very
Yeah.
nicely.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak past it. Okay.
She
All right.
brought it up.
Well, so it just worked
We
very
thought we had
nicely
time.
with that morality clause thing in there. I thought we were going to add in bonus
Yeah.
for the
Stay tuned
bonus
next
for the
week.
people.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's going to have to be it for us today. Thank you so much for joining us on Justice is Served. You can tweet at us, me at Chelsea Galicia.
Me at Domonique P_ESQ.
And me at Shaka Strong on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat.
Join us next week for another episode of Justice is Served. Bye, everyone.
Bye, y'all.
From executives Keven Undergaro, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio, Instagram me at KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in.
Hollywood redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.